Everybody, what is going on? The Catch fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope everyone out there has had a great Monday. We are officially all done with week 6 of the season, swiftly moving into week 7 of the 2023 fantasy football season. Chargers and Cowboys wrapping up. Well, it has wrapped up. Cowboys hold on. I mean, it was a good game, don't get me wrong, but from a fantasy perspective, not the most exciting game. It was exciting to see Austin Eckler back in action. CeeDee Lamb had a good game, but yeah, I mean, we got a touchdown ran in by Dak Prescott. We got Brandon Cooks. I mean, Brandon Cooks pretty good tonight. Dak Prescott completed like every pass to both CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks tonight. So, a little bit of chemistry there. It looked pretty strong. But I mean, Tony Pollard had a good game, just didn't find the end zone. So, I mean, I don't know. It just wasn't ultimately fireworks from a fantasy perspective per se. I mean, of course, we expected Keenan Allen to have a good game, but you guys get what I'm saying. Josh Palmer still 10 PPR points in fantasy or 10 fantasy points in PPR. So, I mean, I don't know. It was an okay game for fantasy, but I personally expected more out of this game from a fantasy perspective. I thought, as good as the Cowboys defense has been, I had one of those feelings that, Monday night, both these teams, I don't know. I thought that they were going to show up a little bit more, have a higher scoring affair, but still a good game. Cowboys hold on by 3. And like I said, still some good fantasy performances throughout the game. I just personally thought we get a little bit more juice in this game. But nonetheless, you guys know what we're doing tonight. Fantasy Q&A, anything that you guys need, start sits, waiver wire additions. It's kind of a weird week for the waiver wire. Roster reviews, trade advice, whatever it is. I'm here to help you guys out as we move into week 7, which is going to be, I don't know, kind of a tough week because we have so many injuries that popped up this past week in the last 2 weeks since the season has started, however you want to look at it. And now we have the Panthers, Bengals, Cowboys, Texans, Jets, and Titans on bye week. So we're kind of in this position where we're getting hit with a ton of buys at a really, really bad time. And I know it's going to affect a lot of you guys out there. So take a look at your lineups because some of you guys might not realize that you have a lot of players on bye next week. So just keep that in mind. And especially if you have injuries mounting up at the same positions that you have players on bye, it's going to be tough. I've already looked at a couple of my teams. I mean, I'm in 15 leagues, and I'm not incredibly excited about this week. So let me know what you guys need, and let's talk some fantasy for a little bit here. All right, Warrior Loft, good to see you, bro. Yeah, Herbert throwing one up to himself. Full PPR point tonight. Let's go. What's the deal with Kyron and Monty? I have both. Are they hurt? I would not expect either Kyron Williams or David Montgomery to be available for you in week 7. According to all the reports that I've read, it does not look like either of those guys are expected to play moving into the week, which is not good for a lot of you guys. But Monty out for a little bit, according to head coach Dan Campbell. I would not expect him to play against Baltimore in week 7. Not good. On the other hand, for Kyron Williams, I've also read reports indicating that he's not going to be playing. Yeah, expected to be sidelined in week 7. So had an MRI, revealed a sprained ankle, is not expected to play against the Steelers. So yeah, it's a bad time in the fantasy community. I mean, we're getting hit left and right week after week. And now we've got reports that Anthony Richardson is probably done for the entire season. So, I mean, there's so many injuries going on. It's literally, since I've started this channel, the most difficult to keep up with that I've ever seen. So we'll get to all of it. But yeah, I would not expect Kyron Williams or Monty to be available for you this coming week. Pollard definitely could have had 2 touchdowns. CD almost had one. It happens. Hit it next. Good to see you, bro. What's up? I'm doing great. Thank you. Pollard 15 for 30. Yeah. He still came through ultimately from fantasy perspective. What's up, cats? Should I play Brian Robinson week 7 with 2 RB1s on bye? Yeah. Brian Robinson, I mean, due to volume, is especially if you have 2 running backs on bye, is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I mean, like, I know, like, he's been a little bit up and down, but he stole 13 points last week, and he gets the Giants. I mean, the Giants impressed us, like, due to expectations, compared to expectations, I should say, but they're still an awful defense. So, yeah, he's fine. Are you worried about CMC? I mean, yes. Long term, no, but for the short term, absolutely. I mean, he's going to try and play as soon as he can. The Niners probably not going to necessarily rush him back. But man, I mean, he's just been getting fed this season, which is good from a fantasy perspective until we hit this wall right here. But 19 or excuse me, 18 or more rushing attempts in every game, 3 or more targets in every game, except for last week so far on the season. I would expect him to be back potentially after the bye week 10, but it could be longer than that. But they get a bye week in week 9. That's helpful. I mean, I've heard a lot of different timetables on this injury, and I don't think any of us truthfully know. But yeah, I mean, I'm worried for the short term, but not for the long term, personally. Smokey, what's up? 4-2, let's go. See the Chargers defense for the win. Let's go. Had the weirdest week in my high school league. Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty decent week overall throughout my leagues, but yeah. Sorry you had a weird week. It was a weird week for a lot of people, for sure. What is Devontae doing, man? He's losing me games. I mean, I don't know how much of it is Devontae Adams' fault. The last 2 weeks obviously been rough after the strong start to the season, right? I mean, he's still the wide receiver 11 in full PPR. Gets Chicago and Detroit and the Giants. So he's got a couple good matchups coming up. But yeah, I mean, I think the big issue here is the up and down quarterback play and just not a very good offense overall. I mean, this offense, okay. I mean, Jacoby Myers has flashed this season. Player we talked a lot about in the offseason, and Josh Jacobs has come back to life a little bit in the last 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks. But I think the up and down quarterback play, which is not going to get any better, Jimmy Garoppolo hurt, it's probably the bigger problem here. Plus, yeah, I mean, it's the Raiders, so I don't know how much of it is Adams' fault, but it doesn't feel good either way. Ghost Hunter, what's good, man? Won my matchup tonight because Eckler couldn't put my opponent above me by 0.2 points. Wow. Had Jake Ferguson give me 2.5 on one catch. I won by 2.7. That is insane. Congrats. Should I add the Cleveland Browns defense? Yeah, I mean, I do think they're one of these defenses. I mean, obviously, statistically, they're the best defense in the league. But then we have to kind of look at things like, how does that translate to fantasy? Because it doesn't always translate to fantasy points. But, I think that they're kind of one of these defenses that gives you potentially an okay floor. But, I mean, they're at Indianapolis, at Seattle, then they get Arizona, then they're at Baltimore. Like, at Indy, I think we like that right now with Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position. At Seattle doesn't feel great. At home against Arizona feels fine. So, I mean, from a fantasy perspective, they're defense 19. From an NFL real life football perspective, they're the defense 1. But, ultimately in fantasy, you need as many turnovers as possible. And they haven't forced a lot of turnovers. They're just not allowing a lot of points. So you can for this week. I like them against Indy for sure. But then the outlook after that is going to be kind of up and down. But a good streaming option against weak offenses, I think. Best team of the week played, second best. Nice. Warrior Loft, need a flex for week 7. Would you pick up Mason Mitchell or Kareem Hunt? I mean, I'd probably take a gamble on Kareem Hunt if we're looking purely at the flex. When it comes to Mason and Mitchell, call me crazy, but I'm not feeling super confident in starting them right off the bat. I mean, they play the Vikings, a top 12 unit against the run. So that's not even what I'm worried about, really. Like, it's not the perfect matchup or anything, but what I'm more worried about is what does this split really look like? And is it a split? Who really gets the carries here? Is it Eli Mitchell? Is it Jordan Mason? Is it someone Kyle Shanahan's been hiding in his basement? I don't know. I mean, Kyle Shanahan offense can get weird very quickly. I think if you need to play someone right now, you go with Kareem Hunt against the Colts, but the other two are really good stashes, but I'm really back and forth on this Niners situation. And there hasn't really been any good reports indicating which way this is going to go. And I think they're going to kind of end up riding the hot hand. So, I mean, it's 50-50 shot for a couple weeks, which is worth it. But if you need a flex, I think you go Kareem Hunt. Thankfully, I'm playing CMC in my Biocalypse. Yeah, I mean, I'm in one league where I literally only have CMC and Swift. I didn't even realize. I looked at my bench and I was like, I have no running backs on this team, so that's probably not good. Is Drake London a must start going forward? I mean, I think in full PPR he's a very solid flex moving forward. We've done it like a full 180 on Pitts and Drake London. I mean, the thing with Drake London is his target share has been really, really promising outside of week 1. So 6 or more targets every game from week 2 until week 6, 8.5 targets per game on average. So I really like where Drake London is at right now. He's at Tampa Bay, at Tennessee, then gets Minnesota, and is at Arizona. So Tampa Bay, Arizona, a little bit stronger against opposing wide receivers. And that, I mean, the one problem with Drake London is he is lining up purely as the wide receiver 1 for the Falcons. So against tougher units, that can be a problem. But yeah, the target share is there. The volume is there. I mean, the Falcons threw the ball 47 times last week, 37 times a week before. So, I mean, they're at least attempting. I mean, Ritter had 3 picks last week, but still they threw the ball a lot. So I guess that's good. But I mean, yeah, I do like these upcoming matchups, especially Tennessee, Minnesota. And we'll just have to kind of see how things play out. I mean, with Kyle Pitts, double digits back-to-back weeks, 87 receiving yard game in week 5 and a touchdown last week. So, but don't forget about Johnny Smith, who's the tight end 8 in fantasy. Johnny Smith is still 24% rostered. Okay. He's probably going to become super unreliable the next coming weeks after he does get picked up. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying that's just how it would work. But Pitts 6 targets last week, Jonnu 5. The week before that, Pitts 11, Jonnu 7. So they're using both of these guys. And I mean, Kyle Pitts is literally the tight end 9 and Johnny Smith is the tight end 8. So I don't know how sustainable that's going to be, but both players are worth a look. And I don't know, going back to your question, I don't know if I'm going to call Drake London a must start, but I do think he's a solid flex option in full PPR for sure. My team looks like the waiver wire page. I mean, it's getting really, really tough out there. I'm not gonna. We're a lot of people are in a lot of really bad spots in fantasy right now, but that's kind of the fun of it, right? I mean, call me crazy, but it wouldn't be as fun if I don't know. Maybe it would be if your team was just dominating every week. I guess that is fun, but I don't know. This is the challenge, right? So embrace it. But man, this is the roughest season that I've seen in a long time. Is Jerome Ford and Drake London for Chris Godwin and Dameon Pierce a good trade? It's fine, but I'd still rather have the Drake London side, I think. But yeah, it's fair. Green Knight, I'm heartbroken this week. Yeah, man, it's a tough week. Try to trade Puka for Tua. Fields and AR out for me. My other wide receivers are Cup, Wilson, London, Palmer, Rice. I think that's fine. If you can get Tua, do it. Heard Uncle Lenny is visiting Buffalo. Yep. Yeah, he is. And I don't really know why, but the reports I've read are that it's trending towards him signing there. So just when we thought James Cook was going to be like a super reliable RB2, maybe not a crazy high ceiling guy, but a really reliable guy, he kind of struggled last week. I mean, he still had 5 yards per carry, but I don't know. Just it looked like every time Latavius Murray got the ball, like the Bills seemed happier with the outcome. So I don't know. But I mean, I don't want to give up on James Cook just yet. I just really thought against the Giants he was going to have a big game, like a touchdown, 20 plus fantasy, like his highest scoring game in the season so far. But it didn't happen. But I don't really know why. I felt like between Latavius Murray and James Cook, I mean, okay, I guess I do know why. It's a Damian Harris injury. That makes sense. So they're just trying to replace Damian Harris. So sorry, I'm stupid, but I'm not gonna freak out completely here. If you own James Cook, for example, I totally forgot about the Damian Harris thing. So that makes sense. So yeah, I mean that's probably all that they're trying to handle depth wise there. Tua or Jackson, the team is both. I'd rather have Tua. No offense, Lamar owners, including myself, because I am one. Drop Tank Dell for Sutton. I mean, you can. I mean, I think Sutton is kind of a floor play, consistency guy, or Tank Dell is like wild card, throw him in your flex, upside guy, more risk. What are your thoughts on Calvin Ridley? I mean, I think Ridley is a guy you start every week and you get what you get and you move forward, you know. Do you like my Stroud and Osborne for Tua trade? I did. I mean, I think Stroud is, of course, perfectly fine. Osborne, a bit underwhelming against the Chicago Bears. Maybe he starts to get going. He is the number one target for now. I guess let's maybe consider T-Hawk. But regardless, I like Tua a lot because I think Tua is a decent floor guy, but he always has a ceiling, always has opportunity to go off and throw for 3 touchdowns or whatever. So, yeah, I like this trade for you quite a bit, Tommy. I think it's a good trade for you, man. Chris, Lockett and B-Rob, good trade for Adams. I would probably go heavy at running back at this point, but Devontae just isn't producing. Yeah, that's a fair trade for sure. It's a fair trade. But keep in mind, like, Adams, 2 bad games in a row. Every other game before that was good. A lot of up and down quarterback play, so don't panic. I would not be panicking on Devontae Adams personally, but if you've been losing games and, you know, you're seeing your first round, second round guy not producing for a week or two, it can be scary, but just remember, guys, it's a long season. Do I sell high on Drake London or keep him? I mean, it kind of depends on the depth at wide receiver on your squad. If you feel pretty good about your overall depth, then you can trade him coming off of these 2 good games. But, you know, like we kind of talked about, he's just a good player to throw in the flex, full PPR at this point in time. So Zach Moss driving me insane. Yeah, you and me both. Can you grade my team? Of course. Find it in the comments soon, I'm sure. I like Ronnie Rivers back up to Kyron Williams. Yeah, I do like him. And like, I don't know. I think it's interesting because we'll probably see, you know, one of these 2 guys, whether it's Zach Evans or Ronnie Rivers, really. I mean, both these guys are going to get touches, but Ronnie Rivers got the touches last week when Kyron was out. Well, I mean, Zach Evans still got 4 touches, but Ronnie Rivers got more touches. But yeah, I mean, how do I like them? I don't know. This is like one of these other situations where if you throw one of these guys into your starting lineups, I just think you really risk a lot. So you have to be 100% desperate to do so, in my opinion. Is Quentin Johnson droppable? Probably. But I mean, if you're holding a player like Quentin Johnston, like you're just straight up holding him and waiting to see what happens. And if it's not happening, then maybe you drop him. But maybe you just keep holding because it's like that's why you went out and got him. Like you're waiting for that breakout game, and then maybe things start rolling after that. So just because he didn't have the breakout game this week doesn't mean that he can't have a breakout game. All right. So Hurts, Hall, Monty, Diggs, Waddle. Oh my gosh, dude. It's always the The Monday night streams, I get hit with the crazy yawns. Puka, Chiefs, Justin Tucker. Yeah. I mean, obviously your team looks fine to me. I think Hall has kind of a cap ceiling just due to the offense, but I still like Brees Hall. And I mean, Monty's hurt now, which sucks. And then Puka losing some volume, but he's fine as your wide receiver 3. Chiefs defense has been good this year. Justin Tucker. So, the team looks good to me, man. I mean, just as long as you have running back depth on the bench, you're fine here. It's a good looking squad. Is now a buy low opportunity for Devontae Adams? Sure sounds like it. Yeah, absolutely. Adams receiving hospital ball is going to get hurt the card before season, or he'll be hurt and sit out. Got to look out for his next paycheck. Potentially. I mean, I guess it's more about where does he want to play or not want to play. Chandler can only hold 2 quarterbacks. Mine are Stroud and Fields. Fields is doubtful. Stroud's on a bye week. Ooh. Is there any quarterback you would trade Stroud for? He's just as good. You think people accept? I mean, a 1-for-1 trade. That's tough. I had a 1-for-1 trade in one of my leagues before the Anthony Richardson stuff got announced. Stroud for Anthony Richardson, but that's not, you don't want to do that now. I mean, dang, that really, are you able to potentially put Fields on your IR spot? Like, does that waive him counting as a second quarterback? Oh, that's such a tough situation to be in. I mean, maybe like Jared Goff. I mean, he's the QB5, so like you kind of got to be sneaky with it. But a 1-for-1 trade with just a quarterback's kind of tough to pull off. Who do you think's out there available in your league? Like, what team do you think would actually trade with you realistically that makes sense? Cam Akers droppable. I thought he would take over Madison. Yeah, I mean, he's just a pure handcuff right now. To start next week, Russ, Pickett, Kirk, or Roshan. I mean, probably Kirk. I go Kirk, Russ, Pickett, Roshan. Call me crazy. Who do you pick up for the Rams running back? I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, this is a short-term fix. I don't think anything like crazy comes out of it. But I mean, Ronnie Rivers got more touches last week, but you know, like with the Cardinals thing that happened after James Conner got hurt, like DeMarcado got more touches the week before than last week. It was like nothing really came from it from a fantasy perspective. I just wouldn't like. I mean, if you're really hurting at running back, you want to target these guys, but I just expect a lot of disappointment over the next coming weeks from some of these like handcuff situations that are popping up, committee situations that are popping up. Hey, Albert, what's up? I have Kamara, JT, and Brees Hall. My wide receiver 2 is Ridley. He's driving me insane. Who out of these 3 running backs should I trade for a better wide receiver? Any of them. I mean, you can really field any of these guys and just see what comes your way. But they're all definitely players you can attempt to trade right now for sure. And I think any of them can still get you a reliable wide receiver to throw into your lineup for sure. Would you play Roshan Johnson over Mason, Mitchell, Hunt, Rivers, and Reynolds? Yes. Because I think Roshan Johnson will see the best volume. But I do like Hunt kind of sneaky in there as well. Starts 7 on mid next week if Wilson doesn't play again. I mean, we have to remember that the Panthers have one of the worst defenses against the run in the league. And now the Dolphins are traveling to Philadelphia, who have one of the best units against the running back position in the entire league. So going into week 6, they were the defense 1 against opposing running backs. So, the other aspect was the Dolphins were able to build that lead and not have to use Mostert as much because they had the lead built and they got Salvon Ahmed in the end zone. So only if you're desperate. Only if you're desperate. Other than that, I'm going to say no. So I trade away Waller and pick up Schultz. Yeah. Why not? I mean, the Texans are going to throw the football a ton this year. That's just what they've been doing. Schultz is a great option to go out and get. I mean, he's on bye week this week, but still. I think it will be the RB2 in Miami, Ahmed or Jeff Wilson. I have a bad suspicion that for those of you who picked up Jeff Wilson, that it might be Salvon Ahmed. Just indicated by some reports I've read, comments McDaniels has made, but I think Jeff Wilson can still get involved, probably worth holding, but I kind of have a bad feeling it's going to be Salvon Ahmed. Lost by a yard tonight. Uh-oh. That's not good. Now I'm 3-3. I have Jackson, Etienne, Kenneth, Tyreek, Adams, Mandrews, DJ Jones. Can I trade one of my pieces to get Keenan Allen? Maybe try Adams. I know he's coming off the 2 bad games, but I don't think DJ is going to have as much trade value because of the injury to Justin Fields. I don't think Aaron Jones will get it done, and I don't want you to trade Etienne or Kenneth Walker. These are like league winners right now. So try Adams. Go from there. Tommy, big change for me. Started 0-3, 4 trades later, now 3-3. Let's go. Things can turn around. I'll be tied for second. Nice. Nice. Ferg Daddy letting me down. Yeah, bad game. So Anthony Richardson done for the year. Most likely. I wouldn't drop him just yet, but I would suspect in the next 24 hours or so, maybe 48 hours, we'll probably get the news. So you're probably close to being able to drop him, unfortunately. Ryan, what's up? Full PPR, lock it for Higgins. He's 0-6 and needs wins. Higgins is a better offense, the better quarterback. Bengals don't run in the red zone as much as Seattle. I'm thinking it's a good buy low. Yeah. I do think Higgins is a really good buy low overall right now. So I think it's a relatively fair trade here. If you feel better about the Higgins situation, I'm good with it. Would you trade away Pitts and Deontay for Laporta and Judy? I mean, no. I mean, here's a problem is like I just look at this as a Pitts and Deontay for Laporta because Jerry Judy means nothing to me in fantasy. But maybe I'm too biased. I wasn't really a fan of Jerry Judy coming in the season at all. And Pitts is starting to heat up. And I think Deontay, when he comes back from IR, will be like fine as long as it's full PPR. I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, maybe like Judy goes to the Colts or whatever and is way more productive. I just don't see it though. I don't think I'd do it. Half PPR with Chiron probably out. Need a flex, B-Rob, JT, or Osborne. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is still like a tough player to bench right now. So I do kind of gravitate towards him as a possibility here. But he's just got such a tough matchup against Cleveland that I'd probably go Brian Robinson. I think JT's really going to truly break out again in about 2-ish weeks because they host Cleveland and they host New Orleans. These are 2 really good defenses, 2 of the best defenses in the league right now. And we got Gardner Minshew starting. Just these game scripts don't look positive for the running back position. I mean, if you have to go JT, it's fine, For what it's worth, Jacksonville's top 5 against a run, and JT still managed 11.5 fantasy points because he had 5 receptions for 46 receiving yards. But back to my point, the Colts are at Carolina in week 9, and this team is just abysmal against running backs. So, anyways, I'd probably go B-Rob. I send Johnson on the wire and pick him up, put on IR spot. Was this a good move? Which Johnson? Which Johnson? 12-team league. My wide receivers are Chase, Almond, Debo, Flowers, Rice. My running backs are Swift, Sanders, Edwards, Pacheco. Tight ends are Higbee and Thomas. Got a trade offer with me giving Chase for Wilson, Goddard, and Bijan. Holy cannoli. I mean, I might consider it for just because Bijan's involved. And then, like, I know Goddard's had some bad games this year, but, like, you can at least just plug Goddard in a tight end and, like, call it a day, not have to kinda go back and forth on these kinda, like, streaming tight end options. I hate to see you lose Chase, but then you have Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Debo Flowers, Rice as flex options. And I mean, truthfully, if Debo's healthy, he's probably in your lineup over Wilson. But then you have Bijan and Swift with also Pacheco as a potential flex option. If you don't do the trade, then like you have Chase, Amon-Ra, Debo Flowers, Rice as flex options, Swift and Pacheco, Higbee and Thomas at tight end. I don't really think you're flexing Miles Sanders or Gus Edwards anytime soon. So, I mean, I do think this trade helps your team, but I mean, you just have to understand you trade a player like Chase, you have to live with the consequences. I always tell you guys that, but I do think this trade overall helps your team, so I will consider it. Dom, 1-2 after the big Pollard run. Nice. Jake Moody sold my fantasy. This team I was against, or excuse me. Jake Moody sold my fantasy this week. I was against Harrison Butker. Yeah, very disappointing game for Moody. Very, very disappointing. How are you feeling about Deontay Johnson's return? I mean, I think he's a good player to buy low for sure. Full PPR at least. It's a Kareem Hunt comeback season. Maybe. Deontay Johnson coming back this week. What do you expect from him? A solid floor option on a weekly basis. I'm not expecting anything crazy here. Pittsburgh's offense obviously hasn't been great. He's fine. He'll be fine. Is Christian Kirk for Terry McLaurin beatable? No. I mean, you have to understand that a player like Terry McLaurin still has a lot of name value. For some people, that's like more important than anything. And it's not like Terry's playing awful. Kirk is playing better, but Terry McLaurin still has 4 double-digit games out of 6 games played this year. So, no, I mean, I would rather have Christian Kirk, but no. Let's admit it, Calvin Ridley is a bust. Who can we trade him for? I mean, you need to go out and look at teams in your league that need a wide receiver and then try and move them that way. But I mean, guys, you just have to understand, like, there are certain players, especially a wide receiver, that, when you have them in your flex, which is what Calvin really is, a flex option, like, they're going to have these weeks where they kind of boom and weeks where they kind of bust. I mean, it's really common to have that disparity amongst wide receivers. And when we look at Calvin Ridley, 3 games this year, double digits, 3 games this year, single digits. So, we still had 8 targets last week. I don't want to panic on him, but I mean, Christian Kirk has been the more reliable option for sure. And if you guys were here, mock draft season, just throwing it out there. Told you guys to go with Christian Kirk in the later rounds. Rivers is out. Dallas offense is almost unwatchable and unusable. Yeah. It's just one of these things where they have a very specific game plan, and it's not always great for fantasy. Got Hurts, Bijan, Swift, AJ Brown, Puka, Kyron, Hawk, and more on the bench. I think Puka's still fine here. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, one bad game, once again, like, we can't just overreact to 1 or 2 bad games, or even 3 bad games. It's such a long season. We're still only 6 games in, but yeah, I think Puka will be fine. I really do. So, I think his ceiling is lowered, but I think he'll be okay. I'm not worried about it. Heffield, is 50-50. What do you think about Goff going forward? Goff is the QB5. Goff or Love. I mean, I do like Jordan Love still, but yeah, Goff is the QB5. I think you just roll with him. I mean, I think he might have a bad week this week against the Ravens. The Packers play the Broncos, so better matchup this week for Love. But yeah, I mean, on the season, I probably want to go Goff. But both are good options. Godfather, good to see you, bro. Rivers going to IR. Oh, my bad. I literally was just looking at his profile. I don't know how I didn't catch that. Go pick up Zach Evans then. Okay, so like that makes me feel, I mean, like the Rams could sign someone or elevate someone from the practice squad, but if it's just Evans right now, like I like that type of situation compared to like We have Rivers and Evans. We have Jordan Mason. We have Eli Mitchell. We have Keontae Ingram. We have DeMarcardo. Like, that's when you can get in a situation where you fire a player up because you have no better option and they get no volume and screw you. Fantasy season is horrible. Is it me or is the scoring down this year? The scoring is down this year. Defenses overall are on like a historic pace this year in terms of points allowed, which is not good for fantasy. So yeah, I mean, seriously, it's been a really, really good year for defenses, and that's something like even like when we're watching games, is like hard to kind of notice sometimes, especially with all the games that go on a Sunday, right? But yeah, overall scoring is down in the NFL this year. Let's see. Andrea, hello. Good to see you. Johnny Smith or Schultz? I'd rather have Schultz because I do believe the Texans will throw the ball more. So that's basically it. I do like Johnny Smith. I just also feel like the shadow of Kyle Pitts is floating around. But yeah, Schultz for me. But I do like both as options. Should I start Drake London or Amari Cooper? Definitely. I think I'm going to say Amari Cooper because the volume was still there, even with Gardner Minshew, and he gets the Colts. I do like Drake London. It's the Bucks. It's just a little bit of a tougher matchup. The Colts secondary has not been good. I think I'm going Cooper for now. The MRI showed that it was a dislocated thumb, and now like his timetable is just based on his own recovery and his confidence and his ability to throw the football. So like, yeah, the MRI like just made things like even more murky. Like we're just kind of like, all right, Fields will be back when he's back. Now we're just gonna have like back and forth reporting for like a couple weeks or whatever until he decides to play again. We're never gonna really know until he's good to go, which is just how it goes. AGZ 5-1. Let's go. Cleve about to be 4-1-1. A tie. I don't think I've ever had a tie in fantasy. Survived playing Mahomes, but I have 2 on my bench. Who should I start? Depends on who you can start. Did I read that right? Survived playing Mahomes, but I have 2 on my bench. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying I survived playing against Mahomes. And I was like, I didn't understand the question, but you have Mahomes and Tua. I mean, this is like a good and bad problem because, I mean, the thing is you have to start Patrick every week. I mean, you just can't not start Mahomes, but quite frankly, like I feel like this season kind of the same about Tua. I think you just keep rolling with Mahomes, dude, but I like Tua a lot right now. I mean, who doesn't? But I mean, Mahomes is the QB4. Tua is the QB3. So you can look at matchup on a weekly basis, but man, it's just when you have like 2 stud quarterbacks, there's like literally nothing worse than fantasy. Because as soon as you bench one for the other, the one on your bench is going to play better. I swear, it's the curse. But I think you just roll with Mahomes, bro. But it's unless if the problem is even if the Dolphins play a really soft defense, like then they just start running the ball. So I mean, I just go with Mahomes, but you can't go wrong anyways. Should I trade Bijan for Jacobs and Hawkinson? No, I mean unless like I'm not personally selling Bijan. I would rather buy him right now. So I'm gonna say no, but it is a decent trade. Should I pick to stream next week if I get the chance? Ahmed or Mason? Probably Ahmed, but I still don't feel as good about him this week as his potential last week against the Panthers. But I don't want to trust the Niners backfield yet. I just don't. Would you trade Hawkinson and Watson for Kelsey? Yes. Texans on bye week. Any sneaky defense pickups this week? I haven't even looked. And Steven's behind on his defense video. Probably won't come out till tomorrow night. But I mean, just quickly looking at the games, which the Raiders. I mean, guys, the Raiders not rostered in a lot of leagues. The Raiders get the Bears and a backup quarterback, so they're not going to be very sneaky. A lot of people are going to be talking about them, but yeah. Commanders could be interesting playing the Giants, but I don't ever trust the Commanders defensively or offensively. But yeah, I mean, those two come to mind. The Browns might be available, and we talked about them earlier. They're not a great fantasy defense, as good as they've been in real life, but they do play the Colts this week. Should trade James Cook. It seemed that Murray started yesterday. He could have get maybe Aaron Jones. If you can get Jones, it's fine, but I think Cook will be okay. Just a bad game, but on the ground, you break down the stats: 5 yards per carry, 71 yards on the ground. It wasn't that bad. But I do agree. It looked like when Latavius Murray had the football, he seemed more fluid in the offense, but I'm not going to freak out just yet. What do you think of Kamar and Tank Dell for Evans and Brian Robinson? It's pretty close, but I'd rather have Evans and Brian Robinson, I think. How are you feeling about Gibbs this week? I mean, the last time Monty was out, he did nothing. So I hope something happens for all the Gibbs owners in the world. I hope something happens. Tua or Lamar next week? Yeah, interesting decision here. Lions at Ravens could be a high-scoring affair. Could get a little defensive as well. But I'm going Tua. You know, they're traveling to Philly. Philly much better against the run than they are against the pass. Philly coming off a loss. The Dolphins are hot. Be a high-scoring game, I hope. But yeah, I'll go Tua. Fitchers from the queue. What's up? When Jefferson and Ashane come off, should I trade to upgrade quarterback or in Goffrey trust? Yeah, I mean, I think like if you ended up landing like a waiver wire quarterback or just hit on a guy late, whether it's Goff or Tua, whatever, trust him. Because then you don't have to sacrifice any of your skill position players. And Goff is a top 5 quarterback right now. Like, no, I think you're fine, man. I think you and Goff we trust, baby. Would you rather have Aaron Jones or Gibbs? Probably Aaron Jones, but Gibbs is a great handcuff. Yeah, I just stick with Mahomes, man. But if you throw Tua out there, like, can't really blame you. But it's just so tough. Like, you're sitting there on a weekly basis. Like, do I start Tua or Mahomes? Like I said, one's a QB3, one's a QB4. Like, probably not going to see a giant point differential between the two if they keep on the same pace. How are you feeling about Hollywood Brown after this week? I'm definitely more worried about the Cardinals than we have been in previous weeks. But, you know, one bad week outside of week 1. So he's okay, I guess. Still at 11 targets. He's had 10 targets or more in 4 of the last 5 games, 4 of 6 games this season. So I'm not going to panic just yet. Amon-Ra and Hawkinson for Kelsey and Thielen. Man, I just don't know if I want to trade Amon-Ra right now. I just don't think I can do it as much as I like getting Kelsey. I trust Amon-Ra more than Thielen. And I trust Hawkinson more than Thielen. Is that crazy? Because Thielen's like the wide receiver 3 or something right now. But still, it's very close here. I just would rather roster Amon-Ra and Hawkinson as a combo, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, it's close. Chat, who would you guys rather have, Amon-Ra and Hawkinson or Kelsey and Thielen? I could see myself like debating this and going back and forth. I think both sides are really good. It's very close. Should I trade Breece Hall for Bijan? Yeah, I will go get Bijan if you can. And I like Breece Hall a lot. Someone drop Gibbs to the waiver wire. Is he worth the pickup? Yes, 100%. He's a great handcuff. Craig Reynolds is still going to be involved. I mean, but he's still worth picking up. If Gibbs is in, should I flex him or Stevenson? I think you go with Stevenson. You know, they're at home. They play the Bills. They're going to have to bring some juice. You know, Saquon played okay enough against them last week. Craig Reynolds will still be involved for the Lions, and it's a tougher matchup against the Ravens. So I'll say Stevenson. End up trading Waddle for JJ. Thoughts? Other wide receivers are Chase, Ridley, and Palmer. I mean, if you're kind of in a win now situation, you probably should have kept Waddle. If you're not, then JJ's fine. So it is a fair trade. I mean, I'm all for Waddle, but just imagine beginning the year being able to swap these two would have never happened. So, but obviously circumstances are different now. But yeah, it just kind of depends on what state you're in, what your record is. I'm on Ross side just because I don't think Thielen keeps up these insane numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the gamble of like if you're selling a player at this point in the season and that's kind of the fun of it, right? So, that's a very close trade for me. Very close. But I think I agree. I want to keep Amon Ra. I think that's where I'm at as well. All right, guys. So got all caught up with the chat. Nice little Monday night Q&A. If you guys need anything else, make sure to throw it in real quick. Other than that, I'm going to start wrapping up here. I will not be on tomorrow per usual, not on Tuesdays. Have like 10 hours of editing. So I'll be very engulfed in the fantasy world tomorrow, but just not with you guys. So I'll miss you guys tomorrow. But hit me up on Discord. I'll get back to you guys when I can. And we'll just move right into week 7. I feel like this season is just flying by, guys. Flying by. But yeah, it's going to be a tough week, guys. A lot of bye weeks, a lot of injuries still mounting up. We'll just do the best we can. Like I tell you guys every week, just do whatever you can to set the best possible fantasy roster. Close your eyes, move forward, and cross your fingers, right? So it'll be okay, but this is going to be a tough week. When will the pain of RB injuries end? I guess never. That's the way it looks like. Should I panic if I have a losing record? Not yet, but you should be close to panicking. After this week, yes. Statistically, it's getting close to that point where you got to like rack up as many wins as possible. It also depends on your league. Like, you know, there are a couple teams who only have 1 loss or no losses. Is everyone sitting at 2 or 3 losses? Is there only one team with like 1 loss? You know, like there's still time to get in the mix, guys. So don't panic just yet, but we're getting close to panic level for sure. So, all right, guys, do me a favor, hit the like. If you guys are new to the channel, hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream, and hopefully you guys consider subscribing. Links are down below. Join our free Discord. Get community feedback anytime. Very active Discord community. So if you guys need anything when I'm not streaming, hit up the community on Discord. It's free to join. You guys get all my announcements for the channel and everything on there as well. Instagram links down below if you guys care about that as well. One team undefeated, almost won though. Nice. Yeah, I mean, don't panic just yet, but be borderline panicking. Tough week ahead. Most of my studs and most of my opponents, or most of my studs are on bye. Most of my opponents' players are in. Yeah, it's never a good feeling. Of course, Broski. Have a good night, Green Knight. No pun intended. Okay, TS asking who is a good waiver wire quarterback this week. It just kind of depends on who's out there. Baker as the Falcons. That's probably not the best. Sam Howell like should be your top pickup. Sam Howell gets the Giants. He's a great pickup, a really safe floor. Josh Dobbs could maybe bounce back against the Seahawks, but I don't know. And then Jordan Love gets the Broncos. So J-Lo, who may have got dropped because of the bye, or Sam Howell are the best options, TS, for sure. All right, guys. That'll do it. So, love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the catch, fam. If you guys need anything, hit up the Discord, YouTube comments when we start posting our content for the week. I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And